welcome to another episode of the Arrowhead Library System's Library Shorts. My name is Kirsten. I normally am working at the Edgerton Public Library, but today I'm here in my yard and we are going to be snow hydrologists. The study of hydrology is the study of water, and a special kind of water is in the solid form is snow. So today we're going to do a few fun experiments to help us think about snow and some things that you can try at home. So no matter what science you are studying, one of the first things you want to do is to observe. So a great way to observe snow is to get a dark piece of paper and to go outside where the snow is. Now unfortunately it's not snowing today, so we're not able to catch some snowflakes as they're falling, but we can take a spoon and I'm going to grab some loose snow and I can sprinkle it on the paper. Okay. When we think about snowflakes, what most of us are really thinking about is snow crystals. Each snow crystal is unique, has 6 sides, is forming in one of 7 main kind of patterns. But when we think about snowflakes, it's really a clump of snow crystals together. Now at the Edgerton Public Library, we check out these magiscopes for circulation, which let us take a close look at things. You can pull the top off and use it like a magnifying glass. Perhaps you have a magnifying glass at home, or you can just study the crystals in their size. So you can see that they're melting here in the sun. But it's fun to compare the size of the snow crystals on different days and the snowflakes that those crystals form together. Another experiment that we can do is to see how much water is contained in snow. So snow is a great insulator. It's got a lot of air between the snow crystals, and that provides some insulation. So we're going to see how much this volume of snow is made of air and how much is made of water. So from my house I brought out 3 measuring cups and I've labeled them already. This one says plow chunks, this one says packed snow, and this one says loose snow. So I'm going to use a spoon. Again, I'm using a spoon because my hands are warm, and when I start touching that snow with my warm hands, it's going to melt right away. I'm going to try to fill this up with loose snow. Now if it were snowing today, I could just have it sit outside in the snow and fill up, but there we go. Now I'm going to try to pack this as tightly as I can with snow. Get it good and packed down. Again, I'm using this spoon so that the heat of my hands don't start to melt the snow. There, good and packed like a snowball. We had our driveway plowed and there are a lot of super hard chunks from the snow plow. So I'm going to try to grab some of those chunks and fit them into my cup. Some of these have started to melt and reform into solid. So they're kind of crispy. There we go. It's so hard I can't break it with my spoon. Well, as hydrologists, we want to study water in all of its forms, solid, liquid, and gas. And right now we have some water in its solid form, in the form of snow, and we're going to bring it inside the house where it can warm up and become liquid water. Okay, so let's go inside. Well, hello there, snow hydrologists. We're back inside. Many scientists do part of their research in the field, like we just did, outside observing crystals, and then they come into the lab, like our kitchen, to do other research. So now we're going to look at the melted snow and record our data. So I've created a small data table, and depending on what you want to study, you'll come up with your own data table. I wrote down the 3 kinds of snow that we collected: loose, packed, and the chunks from the snowplow. And we're going to record their volume, how much space they take up, when it's a solid, when it was in the snow form, and a liquid. And you'll see I also have a place to record the date. So this is a fun experiment to try during different snowfalls, and you'll see that the results will vary depending on how much moisture is in the air, the temperature of the snow, and other variables. So that's a fun thing to keep track of on more than one day, more than one snowfall. This is not an experiment that we're doing today, but it's something that you could also try. How long does it take for the snow to melt? And you could, again, try different types of snow, loose, packed, or a chunk from a snowplow, and record the time that it started as a solid and how long it took to become a liquid. And then you could subtract the difference to know how long that took. If you want to sit and watch the snow melt, there's an experiment for you. Okay. Well, I had filled these measuring cups up to the very top, and there are not markings all the way to the top. So I had to pour water from another measuring cup in to fill up this and measure how much the whole thing takes up. And it is 1 3/4 of a cup. So I'm going to fill that in here. 1 3/4 cup for each of these. That's what we started at. Another fun thing to do is to make a prediction before you let this melt and predict how much water you think you're going to get. And again, each snowfall is going to be different. So here's the liquid that came from our loosely packed snow. And when I hold this up to eye level and read it, it looks like it's at 1/3 cup. So I'm going to fill that in, 1/3 cup. Let's look at our packed snow. There it is. I'm going to hold that up. And this fills up 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to take the snowplow chunk. Okay. And that's a little bit more than 1/2 cup. We're in between 1/2 and 2/3. We're closer to 2/3. So for today, I'm going to write down 2/3 of a cup. Is that what you expected? Did you think our loose snow would have the least amount of water? Then we had our packed snow and the snowplow. So if you're wondering why it feels so heavy to shovel that snowplow chunk of snow, there's a lot more water in there. Well, I hope that you're able to come up with some fun experiments to try at home as you study snow and do that work as a snow hydrologist. And again, I'll put in a plug if you're interested in checking out a Magiscope from the Edgerton Public Library. We don't send these out in delivery, but you could come to the library by parking lot pickup or come in during open hours. And this lets you look at things close up, either by putting them under the lens or even pulling the lens out. All right, thanks for joining me for this version of our episode of our Arrowhead Library System Library Shorts. Enjoy them all. Bye-bye.